let's get started. Here we are. Bala, would you like to go?
Hey, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And like you mentioned, part of the family, and we are happy to come back and present this year with a newer topic, and hopefully we'll make this time useful for you all. I'm Bala. I'm a Sitecore Technology MVP 4 times, and this year also got my Coveo MVP and DX MVP. I also work as a practice director at CA. Madhu.
I'm Madhu Anbalagan. I'm a Sitecore MVP 5 times in technology, Coveo MVP, and I work as an independent consultant. If your project needs some support or any sort of help, feel free to reach out to me. And so what we're going to do, what we are going to see today. So we are going to see what's XM Cloud. So here is the thing. So I'll be going through the slides pretty quick because we can focus on the demo part. The demo is where I can, we are going to show the XM Cloud, creating the pages, creating the components, how to publish. Like we are going to go into the detail into the demo mode. So I'll be quickly going through the slides, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask the questions. And so today we are going to look into what is XM Cloud and what's versus XM Cloud Plus, and why do we choose it, and its limitations, terminology, how is the developer experience, how is the transition path from XP to XM, what are the trainings that are available, how to do the certification, demo, and then we'll discuss more on the questions. So what is XM Cloud? So basically, Sitecore came up with the SaaS platform, the software as a service, which is completely managed in the cloud, which means that there is no more upgrades. We all know that how painful the upgrade is. We have all gone through it. So this is the one last time we will be moving to XM Cloud. Once we are moved, we should be all set. No more upgrades, no more painful pain points. And it's completely headless. It works the same way as regular headless CMS, and it supports similar as how XP supports Experience Manager. And here we have something called Pages Editor. I'll be showing it in the demo that how do we create pages and what is the Pages Editor, how it looks like, and we are going to edit live, and we are going to publish as well. And similar to the XP, we have SXA, headless, Next.js, like anything. Front-end can be anything with Next.js or React or any front-end app you can use. And we will be publishing it to the Experience Edge because here there is no web database. That's the huge difference in XM Cloud. We will see everything, what happens when we publish, and because through the Experience Edge, we will be GraphQL the data to the Next.js app or the React app, so that the feel is very seamless, and it's also helpful to the marketers and developers because it's not a one monolithic XP. It's now completely separated out. Backend development is separate, front-end development is separate, so it speeds up the development. And the content delivery is publishing it to Edge instead of the web database. And so what is the difference between XM Cloud and XM Cloud Plus? So XM Cloud Plus was announced last year, October, in CertCon last year. So basically, XM Cloud Plus is nothing like equivalent to basically XP. So XM Cloud has minimal, like just the cloud, but when you buy the XM Cloud Plus, you will get the Sitecore Connect, CDP, personalized, Sitecore Search. Everything comes with the full capabilities. It doesn't mean that the XM Cloud doesn't have anything at all. It has some capabilities, but it's very limited. So basically, if your project has the XP and you're utilizing the personalization, CDP, like search, everything, so then considering the XM Cloud Plus is a good idea because it comes with everything and you can leverage it to the maximum. And so here is the options. What is being given for XM Cloud and XM Cloud Plus. Basically, this table looks so simple, but it took us a while to figure out because every day they keep releasing the new features in XM Cloud Cloud or Cloud Plus. So as of now, this is what it is. Basically, there is no search in XM Cloud, but there is full of XM Cloud Plus has complete Sitecore search opportunities. And analytics, XM Cloud comes with only 30 days. And if you need more than 30 days, you'll be purchasing the CDP. And Sitecore Connect, which is a work atto. So there is no integrations or connectivity for the XM Cloud. But in XM Cloud Plus, it comes with it. And the personalization also available in XM Cloud, but it's a very basic version. But if you are leveraging it to the complete personalization, I would strongly recommend to purchase the personalize as well. And Sitecore Forms, which has been released a couple of months back, and it's available in both places. And why do we choose? It has a lot of advantages. The first is it's hosted in Azure. So we all know that Azure's scalability, we can scale up and down based on our needs. If you have Thanksgiving or any of the holidays are coming up, and if you know that your site is going to be hit multiple times, so then you can scale up as immediately and scale down as soon as the event is done. And we all know that it has like 99.999% SLA, so we don't need to worry about server being down, or we need to do the OS upgrade or any of the stuff. Everything is taken care, and it has a flexible pricing as well, because we only pay how much we use. And speed, or we know that Azure speed is there is no downtime. It's always available, and the flexibility and the pricing and the scalability, everything makes it completely compelling to go for XM Cloud. And with this, I'll be handing out to Bala.
So we'll talk about the features. So when I say automatic updates, so pretty much when we are in XM and XP age, we used to do those upgrades, which is not related to the XM Cloud. Everything is automatic, but also keep in mind, we don't have to do the upgrades on the platform itself, but if you're using the headless, then you might need to do some part of it to be upgraded. I'll give an example scenario. Recently, they launched XM Forms. The forms will work only with a specific version of headless. So although you would think like there is no more upgrades, but partially you still need to do certain pieces. The infrastructure is highly scalable. So according to your needs, everything is mostly in CDN, like the experience engine and everything. So it should should be able to handle any level of traffic. So it's fully scalable. Page speed and performance, like I talked before with the CDN stuff, it should be easy for it to have a higher speed and performance on loading your pages, or with the experience edge being the CDN. The next generation visual authoring is related to the Sitecore pages, which is their new editing experience that you get with pages. That's all new, and they have like a new user interface to do that. And then the next one is dynamic personalization. So by default, XM Cloud comes with like a base level of personalization, like Madhu was talking earlier with the XM Cloud versus XM Cloud Plus, where it at least has the 30 days of data. You could do some basic personalization out of the box. Site and page insights. So it also comes with the analytics part of it. So every page, how many visits, where did they drop off, how long the person stayed, and what is the path. Basic page level insights and the site level insights are out of the box available. The only catch there is it's going to hold only 30 days of data. If you need more, then you can opt in and get the personalized and CDP that you can plug it to the existing platform. So that's another thing we'll talk through. XM Cloud internally uses CDP and personalized. So if you would like, hey, I just want that particular piece, that just analytics, then you can just buy the CDP and personalized license and then connect it. Or like Madhu was mentioning, you can go all in and get the XM Cloud Plus, where you get the whole suite of tools. Built-in DevOps, so the DevOps is already pre-configured. So they give you a repo URL, and once you check in and do those things, automatically the deployments, everything is taken care of. So there is no maintenance headache or bringing in your DevOps team to do all those things. That's all taken care of. Global content delivery with XM Experience Edge. Experience Edge is nothing but a rebranded CDN, which is being delivered by Sitecore. So basically, it's a global delivery network. So all your content, everything is stored on Experience Edge, and there is a reason, and I will talk through those things in in the upcoming slides. Okay, so a little bit on the licensing. A lot of people don't talk about this. Since as I was involved in some deals, so at least this information would be really helpful. Earlier, we used to be licensing based on traffic and the number of domains. So this one, again, it's still the traffic. The number of custom domain limits are not there anymore. So you can have unlimited domains. Even if you have 2 pages and you want to create a domain, like you could do that. But here it is project based. When I say project, it is a you can have one project and have multiple sites beneath it. When we do the demo, I'll show you that. So that's what they call it as project based, and each project can have multiple sites. Internally, it is called as like one repo. You could think about like one code base or like a core component tool set that you can use it across multiple sites. So you'll have one one repo that you check in and it gets deployed, things like that. The next one is edge bandwidth. So we did talk about the Experience Edge earlier, like the CDN. They have a limit of 1 terabyte of bandwidth, which is like downloading the data or uploading the data. 1 terabyte per month per project. But you can have 100 domains, 100 different sites, but the traffic stays within this limit. And this limit can be upgraded. So that's how they license it. So if you have huge traffic, you want more, then you can go for the next level of 5 terabyte or something. And also the edge storage, it's more like the CDN level of storage, and that's limited to 5 GB with the default license. If you think you need more, then that also can be upgraded. So earlier we used to have some licensing limits on the authoring side. How many content author, that is still there. I think by default it starts with 25 authors, something like that. Like it's not like 1 or 2 authors. So that should be good enough for any use case. But if you need more content concurrent authors, then you can increase the limits. And then the last one is Vercel and Netlify. Like Vercel and Netlify are mostly used for your front-end hosting. And that is also can be bundled with the cost. So if you already have a licensing with them, it's fine. But a lot of clients, they don't want to like deal with another vendor, go through the entire licensing. So that could be bundled within Sitecore. So Sitecore would just do that for you. You could pick which platform you want, or you can just stay with Experience Edge. And then with the support, they have a standard support and a premium support. They have 2 options. Okay, let's quickly talk about the limitations. So what is it different from our XM and XP, what we are used to, is they don't have any more CD or identity roles. So authentication is now OpenAuth. So you can tie up with Google or Outlook or your Azure Active Directory, and you can do that. But they don't have separately like the identity server and maintain it yourself. And they also don't have content delivery. The main reason is your Experience Edge is going to be your CD. So there is no more web database or anything. So when you publish, your Experience Edge would be your publishing endpoint or the one you choose, and you would publish it there, and then you eventually use it. Publishing will compute dependencies. There has been a recent update like last month. With the newer update, they did fix certain things. Earlier, publishing used to take a lot of time because in our Sitecore XM or XP, a particular item is what we would publish. So we are not worried about what it is depending on, or like the data sources and things like that. Or you would say related items, and you can publish it all at once. But with specifically with since it's not a web database and everything is on Edge, Edge is more like us. It takes a snapshot of what the page is with all the items in it, and then it just pushes it into the Experience Edge on the CDN. So whenever you publish an item, it does compute the dependencies of, okay, this page is depending on this, so I need that, and it does everything, and then it takes a snapshot of that page and then pushes it to the edge. So that was taking a lot of time. Whenever you're publishing it, there are people complaining, and they had a hard limit of like 45 minutes or so. Then I believe that's with the Netlify, not the Netlify, sorry, or the other platform we just talked about. So one of the platforms, they had a hard limit of pushing that like 45 minutes timeline. So recently they came with an update, the publishing, which has improved significantly. So there were like, if you're doing a fresh publish, it will take a similar time or a little bit less. But if you're doing a republish or anything already published, more like an incremental update, then it's much, much faster. We are talking like 80 to 90% of time reduction, which is a significant improvement how they hold it. So it's like constantly changing. So every features that I'm talking here are like something like you wouldn't even know, like overnight they would push something and the next day you will be able to achieve that. Specifically with publishing, they did make a attribute that you need to put it in your XM Cloud environment. Once you set it to true, then you can start using this new feature. So they will always come up with something like that and who would make use of it. So there is no upgrades or deployments or anything like that. Also keep in mind, there is no search. There is no more Solar or anything exposed for us to use it. So if you want to plan anything, everything should be used with the GraphQL endpoints. So GraphQL, you know, if you have worked on headless, you would know if you need any items or anything, you could use a GraphQL search, get the item. So there is no search exposed directly, or you can directly tie up with the, you know, Solar. GraphQL endpoints also has its own limits. So there is like a hard compute limit on that, like how complex you can make a query. And then it will, like if you do some basic queries, you'll be fine, but GraphQL endpoints has its own limitations. Limited personalization data, like we talked before, it's like only going to hold like 30 days of data, not more than that. And there is no more modules. Like in the past, we used to take packages, install. That concept is not there anymore with XM Cloud. You can do that. A good example would be Coveo. So if you want to do it, you cannot go ahead and install a Coveo package and use it. Content migration, there is no DB support. So in the past, when we do migrations, we will upgrade the databases and plug it in, which cannot be done anymore here. But one other, like in one of our presentations, friend of us gave a tip on that, like where you could have your local instance. Basically, when you're building, like if you have a so a Docker instance or a local instance, so like a developer instance, from that you can connect back to your XM Cloud instance. That's how we would use CLI to push the data back and forth. You could attach this old database into your local instance, and then you can do a data move between your local instance and your and your XM Cloud instance. So that's a small trick you could use that way. And there are no more custom pipelines, which we are always used to. Having like a wildcard processor or something like that, we can't do that anymore with this. So they have let's go through a quick architecture diagram here. So starting from bottom up, so we have the developers who would typically interact with the CLI, and then we did talk about the projects, and then they use a deploy app. That's where you push your app deployments or changes to your XM Cloud. The CLI is typically used for your templates or anything with Sitecore items that you want to push back and forth. You use CLI. If you see the content authors, they typically interact directly with their front end, like pages and where you can do, or the cloud area where you can work with the components and explore. Like we'll go through this in the demo. And on the left, if you see embedded personalization, internally XM Cloud is using personalized and CDP. So any interaction the site is getting, everything is pushed back into the personalization CDP platform. Like here in the bottom end, you're doing personalization, the rules or whatever you're writing goes there. And then from up top, if you see all the web behavior, like your user interaction, everything comes back to the CDP and personalized platform. We go a little bit up, then there is the Sitecore search. And you can clearly see Sitecore Search is not directly interacting with the backend CM, and it is directly crawling the public-facing website. Typically, they would set up a Sitecore crawler from search, and then it will crawl the front-end facing. And you can also do a, since it's cloud and headless, so you could directly point it as an API endpoint and then crawl the layout service data. So on the right, if you see, there is a Sitecore Experience Edge. So any assets or anything is always hosted in the CDN. So when you publish the content, layouts, and assets, everything goes to the CDN. Eventually, the CDN is interacting with the headless application, which is, in this example, it is hosted in Vercel, but you can host it in Vercel, Netlify, or Azure, or even on-prem if you would like to have simple headless application that could interact back. So how is the developer experience? So developer experience, by default with XM Cloud, you have to have Docker setup for your local. So you download the XM Cloud local setup code, and then you do run the init, and then you should be able to get started with the developer experience. And the next one is a remote connect to the cloud environment. So by default, whenever you're running it, like if you want to run your CLI, anything, you need to have internet connection. It needs to be connected back to your XM Cloud instance. That's how we would be able to build components and things like that. Sitecore content serialization is one way. We don't have TDS or Unicorn or anything like that. So you have to depend on the CLI to do your content serialization. Remote deployments are typically triggered through your commit. So whenever you commit something, you can have an automatic deploy, or you can have like a manual deploy. You could do it directly from the XM Cloud portal. The last one is XM Cloud CLI. That is specifically, XM Cloud has its own CLI where you can create a new project or sites. A lot of interactions could be achieved with the XM Cloud CLI, which is a little bit different from the Sitecore CLI. The next one is a transition path. So this is just a thought process that I put together, like how would you be able to transition? There might be multiple other paths, but typically the first and foremost, you need to transition an MVC or ASP.NET to a headless. There is no doubt on that. So for example, you could use tools like Kaju AI, which can help you facilitate it for a much faster migration or a transition to headless. And then eventually, if you're using Unicorn or a TDS, probably you need to get switched back to Sitecore serialization, SES, and then eventually you assess all your XP features and see what can be transitioned over and what you might miss. So then make those planning accordingly, and then you can move it. Plan for all your integrations. For example, if you had a Salesforce integration, how would you achieve with that? Like, can you use, like, XM Cloud does support a lot of webhooks, so you can plan something like that, but it's more like once we are using XM and XP, we don't take care of it. But eventually, when you plan to migrate over to a SaaS platform, you need to think through that and ensure that everything is covered. The last one is the forms migration plan. If you've been using Sitecore XM or XP with forms, the new forms that is that is being deployed in the XM Cloud is totally different, and your existing forms or forms data would not be supported. So you need to have a planning around that, like how would you migrate it over. At the moment, they don't have any tools, but they might come up with some tools that could transition over our existing forms into the Sitecore forms, XM Cloud forms. I'll take a pause here. Like, do we have any questions until now? Okay.
One quick question, Bala. Have you tried the Kaju tool before?
I personally have seen demos with
Nabil?
Nabil, yeah, I've seen with him. I personally have not tried it, but what I've seen from the demos is he was able to transition the the regular components and pretty much quickly convert that back into a React component.
Okay.
So it was much easier that you take the React component, then you can add it into your headless project.
Okay, so it's just like converting the components from MVC or Scriven into Next.js React components.
Correct. You just feed in the page, and then it is able to see that particular component, and just takes that and say like, okay, converts it into a React component
Does
with the styling and everything.
does it help with the content migration too?
No, it does not. No.
No. Okay.
So the base idea is like if you have 40 plus components, this Kaju would help you to transition over that and get
Yeah.
everything quickly spun up in React or Next or whatever platform you choose. That kind of saves a lot of time, right? Like, typically, that's where
Yeah, it does. I just added to the chat like a free tool that was developed by one of our colleagues. It's doing the same thing. You just give it React like code, Scriven code or MVC code, and
Okay.
it will it will convert it to Next.js React components.
Awesome. I'll check that for the call, man. Thank you for sharing.
It's an open source as well.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks.
And other thing with Nubbles I have seen is they are also, if you have Figma, if you do design in Figma, that also generates components directly in React or Next.
Yeah, nice.
So that was something interesting. Okay, so training and certification, it's I would highly recommend that they have an instructor-led training, which I did attend, and Madhu also attended it. That's how we got a lot of knowledge there. It's not that theoretical. Most of the times it's all practically that you need to go and build a component, build a site, and do things. And they like the really, I would say, if you're able to take it, instructor-led training is good. But I know it's a bit expensive. It's $3,500 USD at that time when we took it. Luckily, part of the MVP community, we were able to take one course for the year, so which was nice. But otherwise, the second option is they have the self-paced in the learning portal that you can take. And then eventually, XM Cloud certification is there, which is also good. Like if you want to upscale yourself. Okay, it's demo time. I will hand it over back to Madhu. So you can start the demo, Madhu.
Thank you, Bala. Let me start sharing my screen. Are you able to see my screen? I hope I'm sharing the right one.
Yeah, we can see the button.
Yeah, we can see it all good.
Cool. So here is the XM Cloud portal. So basically, when you log in, this is how it looks. This is a admin portal. So let me go into the actual XM Cloud site. So basically, when you log in, this is how it looks. But once you click on which site you need to go, you can click on it, and this is how it lands. Basically, this is nothing like a sites collection. So here you will have n number of sites. And here we are seeing like two different sites, one with a demo site and a sub site. Let me create a new site. So for creating a new site, you can see two different options, one with an empty site and another is a basic site. So basically, this is nothing like a starter kit. Like how for the Helix, we have the Habitat kit. We start from there. The similar thing, actually, I have Sitecore has provided the starter kit. So here is the starter kit, basically XM Cloud Foundation head. So basically from there, I have forked it and deployed the code. Once you deploy, this is how the like whenever you create a site, it basically comes with the header, footer, and everything, so that we don't need to do anything from scratch. I strongly recommend it. Because it speeds up the process, and we can just quickly explore and learn what are the components in XM Cloud, and it really speeds up the process. So that's the reason you're seeing two different things. So let me select the basic site because it has everything already ready to go. So let's go for Sub Jordan. And site identifier is optional. I'll just go ahead and create the site. So as you can see, it just takes only 2 minutes to create the site. So this is going to take 2 minutes. So I just created a new site in the morning. Let's explore while creating the site. We will come back to the Sug Jordan shortly. So on the Sug site, basically when I hover over, you can see that it's like an image, but then for some reason the images are missing. I don't know why, but once you click on it, basically this is the new pages editor. It's how like content editor for us. It's now called pages editor. It's a bit different than content editor. But you can see that here is the home page, which is ready-madely already made. And the About Us page as well, it's already made. So let's actually create a new page. So to create a new page, I'm just going to create a page and select the page, and I'm going to call it as demo page. So I just, you can see that it's all creating in a fly, and there is no save option as well because everything is in cloud. So here is our demo page, and when I'm navigating it to the components, there are some readily available components are already available. This brings me back to the Visual Studio days, like earlier in .NET, like how we drag and drop the components from the toolbox, the similar thing. Let me drag and drop the title. So I just drag and drop the title. As you can see, it's already given the taking the item name. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. And I'm going to, maybe the next one, maybe I'm going to pick an image. So here is the image, and let's set up the image. Let me click on the image. Here is the image. So when I click on it, it's opening up the media library. For some reason, these are the images which we're missing. Let's go with welcome image, and the image came up, and we have some styling, you have some CSS, anything you have, you can give it over here. All the options are here. So we just quickly added the image, and we can add, similar to this, we can add a rich text field, we can add promo component, container, row splitter, column splitter, link list, navigation, menu bar, whatever you like. Pretty much the basic components are readily available, and you can see that it's like within a minute we can create the page. So this is a rich text editor. It's just seamless, and everything is saved. There is no need to save. All is ready to go. And let's preview the page. So we can see that it's already added in the menu bar, and it's in the draft mode. We can workflow is by default, it's a draft mode, and we can submit it with the comments. Please submit, and it's for the QA approval and approve the product. I mean, it goes through the default one, and once you publish the page, basically it's publishing it to the edge. Once you have the front end app is available, it will be picking up from here to the GraphQL to get all the data. So this is how we can create a page, and the page is all ready to go in a minute. And we can also view the page, how it looks like in desktop, in a tab mode, and then in a phone mode. So all of them are readily available here, and we can also preview the page by clicking on the preview link, and here is the page. So already in a minute, similar to it, you can add a version, you can create a version, add it, and you can change the language here. You can specify the shade layout or what are the components it has. All the detailed things are here, but this is how it's like pretty easy to go. All the components are readily available. You can drag and drop, and you can create a page within a minute. And let's go back to the Sug Jordan site. Yes, it's all done, ready to go.
I had a question, Madhu.
Sorry, Baba.
Ishrak, you had a question?
Yeah, so it's just like as Madhu going through the flow, because I'm always wondering about the workflows and within this headless kind of a scenario. So basically, we're going through workflow. The workflow will make the page and the content available on the edge. So our next, or whatever the website, if it's Next.js or whatever, the GraphQL will be connected to an edge URL. This is how the GraphQL will be communicating with the CM, just to understand
Right.
that this is JSS. So like the edge will have an endpoint, and that's the one that's used in the Next.js configuration to connect.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Ishrak,
And
that's a
this,
good question. Like one other thing I want to add is like they do have two. One is like whatever your public facing is going to talk to the edge,
Yeah.
and you get all the public facing content, which is more like our web database. They also have a preview edge instance that directly talks to your CM. So that way, if you have like an internal review you want to do with your headless, like you can do that too. Like what we
yeah,
used to be talking to the master database, whatever you're editing right now. So that is exposed out in a separate endpoint.
okay, and that's basically the difference between XM Cloud as a headless CMS and let's say what's the other one?
Yeah, the simple
The
I would
Content Hub
say,
one.
yeah, you're right, absolutely. You're comparing with Content Hub 1, that is correct.
Yeah, because Content Hub one, you don't have the ability to do the previews in this sense because it doesn't support page orchestration. While XM
Mhm.
Cloud, you still maintain that kind of the experience editor view through the preview APIs, and then your public website connects to the edge, and this way you don't have to communicate with this end directly. Okay, sounds good. Just want to understand the flow. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. That's a good question because a lot of people would get confused with like once you have the edge, like what happens, like how would they preview my content? So they do have that option. Yes. Thank you. Other back to you.
Thank you, Bala. So our Sug Jordan site is already built with a homepage and about page, and it's ready to go with adding more pages, components. Everything is all ready to go. So this is how it's very simple in XM Cloud, and Bala will be showing more capabilities of XM Cloud. With this, I'll just stop sharing and Bala, it's
Okay, thank you, Madhu, for that. You're able to see it.
yes, Bala.
Okay. Perfect. So let's quickly talk through. Did I miss a slide? I'm like the terminology stuff. Okay, let me go here. Like we did. We do have this project name here. So this is the one I was talking through when we were doing the like the initial one I was talking through the licensing cost and stuff. So this is the top level project, which you can think like one single repo. And then on the right hand side, you have this different environment name. In this case, I just have one environment, but you will typically have like a dev stage and prod. So different environments would be there for you to identify. And the other one you can go into is creating on this site. So if you click on this one, you have certain options here. So listening in the pages is what Madhu was taking you through. And then if you go into the settings, then you can see there's the root item ID, SXA managed, who created it, all the template, all the details here. Site identifier is something like pretty important. Like we did skip that when we created the site, but without this, certain things would not be enabled for your like analytics tracking and stuff. So let's quickly create use the existing one. And then I could just say, and here you can see that what is the session timeout. So that's the time when your session ends, and then all those tracking will be taken care of. And then according to the market and the brand, like you can create multiple different identifiers and then tag them to the specific sites. If you go into the developer setting, and this is where you see your CDP target URL, and then you have your CDP client key, your application name. The POS, this is important for your CDP and personalize. That's the one we just set it up. Without that, the tracking will not work. And you have the GraphQL endpoint, and then you have a Sitecore API key, which we have not generated. So we'll be able to do that. So these are the basic stuff. And this is all important for you to connect it back to your local environment. So let's go back here. And then when I click on sites is where we are. And then we click on tools. As soon as you get there, this is a familiar view that you have seen in the past, or all like with XM or XP. So let's go with one by one, like certain things, I don't want to go in detail on certain stuff. These whole stuffs are something that you are aware of. Pages. Is there a new user interface that Madhu went through? Before we get on to that, there are like few things I would like to add, which is on the left, you have certain templates, and this is where you create your typical Sitecore templates. And right now we have only one template, but you can manage the fields, and then you would be able to go back into this and you get into your familiarist content editor view. And on the top left, you have the page designs, which is the default layout that we were seeing. Page designs, partial designs are very common with SXA. It's similar to that. And then if you go into the partial designs, we have a header and a footer partial design. Once I click on that, then you can see this is my partial design. I can make my edits here. Go back. So the moving on to the personalize. So any page, if you take in the past, we used to have like comparing it with XP or XM, you would have like a personalization at each component level. So this particular component, I could have personalization, but something to be aware of with XM Cloud is personalizations are typically done at the page level. And each page and all those things are part of like you need to create different variants. And once you create the variant, let's say, it's going to ask me condition, or like what is the condition you want to build out on. So when I click on add condition, you can say what time or what country, region. A lot of other options are here. So for example, maybe point of sale, we could add that. This visit point of sale is default. And then I could say, hey, use this. Use this, or I could say, and if the person is visiting from North America, for example, then I could say this is my audience. According to that, this variant will get loaded. And now you can see this yellow icon that's coming, and which says like the rich text is not personalized. So you can go to the default variant, and then for the personalized variant, then you can have something else. CA, and you can say NA, for example, North America, and then you can save it. So that way you would understand like this is now personalized. This is how basic level personalization. But keep in mind, like I said before, like each component level personalization is not there. You need to have multiple different variants if you're planning to do that way. Moving on to this analyze, this is where I was talking about the site insights and page insights. So you need to have the POS. If you don't have that, this data will not be available. At the moment, it's a plain vanilla site just we created, so we don't have much going on here. Just to get you an idea, there is some visitors, average time on the site, visit bounce rate. These are all like the basic analytics that's available. What are the top pages? What are the top countries? What is the first page? Where did they come from? Is it from Google search, or all the data would be available? And what types of browser, operating system? This something close to Google Analytics, you can say. But if you go at the page insights level, so each page level you can see, and also you get this option where it has like the different variants you could choose and say like, what is a different variant, what they've done. And the important thing here is you can see only it is available for 30 days. And because this is a base XM Cloud, it's not XM Cloud Plus. So this is something you need to be aware of. Only 30 days of data would be available for you to check. So let's go back home screen. To go into the tools, we did talk through the pages, components, as something like a front end as a service. So the idea behind this is you can use their existing component, or you could even build a custom component, and this component can be used on any sites, not just Sitecore. And that's what they call it as a front end as a service. But a quick example, or at least part of our session, what we did is if you go to sitecore.com, I don't have enough time to show, but I'm just trying to show you what could be achieved with this. You see this one, modernize your digital presence, whatever you see here. This one, we were able to build it part of our the learning XM Cloud learning path. Basically, this is like a background image, and then you have like a layer here with the text content in it and just a button in it. This whole thing we were able to build in less than 30 minutes or so, exact same look and feel, which is zero developer involvement, more like a business user. I was doing everything directly on this component builder, which you can see this is all like the tiles, how it's being laid out. So I could go ahead and move things, and I could set like a background image, and I want to say like I want to have a text component here. I can have something, and then I can also have a you can see this data search, how it is being mapped. Either I can do a static, or I could go back and map it to an existing data and then use that. In a lot of things, you have the expert mode and the regular mode, how things are being laid out. But the idea behind this, either it can be like a simple component with a static data, or you could map it with a particular data source and use it. So the idea behind this, they want this to be more like a front end as a service. So this can be exposed out and directly used on, for example, I am in WordPress, I want to just use this particular component with the data source from an XM Cloud instance, you could do that. So you have the styles where you can make changes here. And then also the data source, you can see all the components I have there, and it is saying like you could choose the data sources, eventually publishing. And once you publish it out, then you have these settings here where you could use it with a rendering host or like a shared component. We could do that. This whole thing, like components, is an entire different thing that they came up with, and you would see this is available if you go back to the pages. Let's go to the tools, then click on pages. So you go here, and you go into any page, and you also have the components here. You can see this, and these components can be dragged and dropped. So the idea behind is, once you build a component on the fly, like consider that I'm building this whole component, like the same look and feel, I'd be able to directly drag and drop and use it between multiple sites. So you can see the PGH sub that we created is here. So this gives you an idea how this works. And going back here, if you go into Explorer, this is nothing but all your workflow and all the details here. Each page, what state it is it published, or all those details are available here for you to do it. So bring back to the home. So experience editor is normal. You have seen that in the past. And let's get into the forms quickly. Being efficient on time here. So forms is entirely new. It's like a separate tool. Entirely they built it out from scratch. So you can drag and drop. You have all these layout options. Then if you go into items, you have all these components out of the box, and you do have a reCAPTCHA out of the box. You have the file upload, which is typically you used to build them separately. So they are available, but it is not fully capable of what we have in forms. You can see there are like multiple pages created. And also they did not have this logic in the past, which is also something being part of the SaaS. You could like on the fly, it just came. Like we were doing initially this presentation, this was not available. And then suddenly one fine day, I just open it. I was like, oh, what is this thing new here? So you can see this, each field, you can have these contains or conditions. And then you can have following actions where you can hide field, show field, make this required. If in case you choose something, then make the next field required or optional. Some basic level logic are available for you to use. It's not fully robust like what we have today with our existing Sitecore forms. The other thing important is you get this form ID. This is what typically you use. And then you can see there is an option to choose the webhook. So clearly there is no more forms database, and none of the forms data would be stored in Sitecore anymore. So all the data will be pushed through a webhook, and then this webhook, you can point it to any of your system, and then probably whenever a form is being submitted, it's going to trigger the webhook, and then it's going to, for example, let me show you here, say this, and then I hit next, say submit. So you could clearly see this is my webhook submission going to be, for example, the payload sent to your webhook, which is my blog dummy I have given, but you can see typically it goes with the email address and details. And then you get this X forwarded by, so where, who sent this or which site it came from, and the form ID is available here. That's how you can identify that. When I hit submit, then it's going to hit that. But it's a dummy URL, but typical webhook, it would do it. That is about forms. And then also there is some comment options. For example, if you're dealing with a content author saying like, hey, I want this to be changed something, then you can add a comment on here where you can see this one. So you could say, change this. And then you could do that. And then it comes here. And then once they resolve, they can, click on resolve and it will do it. Basic content authoring experience is much better now. The other one, also important one I want to talk through is if you go into the design, click on any component or any tools, whatever name you give here is what is the name going to be part of your webhook or like the field name that's getting. So let's take an example. If I do a short text here, so when I click on that, you can see this comes as text, some random numbers. In this case, I need to keep it consistent. So always keep in mind, you need to change this just to keep it consistent when it's being pushed into the other data source. Yeah, some condition is wrong. Okay, this is fine. Let's go back to. Okay, another important thing I did talk through that, and then you have the webhooks. This is the webhook that we were using. So let's click on that. So here you can see it's dummy webhook, but you can have OAuth basic or API key or no authentication. Give a webhook name, what the URL is. So automatically when you submit, it's going to use that, and those webhooks, you can use it repeatedly there. So styles I have not created, but you could create a style set and say, so this is more like a style builder, something new, where you can design how it should look like with the CSS editor here. Edit as CSS, you get all these options if you want to do it, or you can do it directly on the style builder, where you have all these options here. And then you can repeatedly use this, and according to each brand where you're going to use this. This is also something new, to be honest. In our last demo, we did not have this. So this is the benefits of having a SaaS platform. You come and it's always something new. What else do we have? We're close on time, so let me be quick. Go back to the tools. We did talk through this, and analytics. We did see that going into this. Let's see. So there's this your site analytics, and you also get your form analytics, like how many form use, interaction rate, how many did not submitted. All those details are available here too. I think that takes us to all the details we would like to cover. Like anything else you are specifically interested, I'm happy to, talk through it. Okay. Stop sharing quickly. We'll have some quick interaction. If you had any questions, we'll take it from here. Hope the session was useful. We just want to cover the pieces and a lot of doubts people had related to XM Cloud. Hope this is check any questions from the group.
I believe there are no questions. Anyone, guys? Any questions?
Yeah, I
Yep.
think this was a good coverage. I know you guys had the chance to go through the training and maybe go through the certification as well. Any advices, any comments, like for anyone who wants to be XM Cloud certified, to take note besides to going through the certification material? Anything else to take note of?
I personally would say like taking that what do you call, like the training was really helpful. I know not a lot of companies not going to afford pay that money to do it, but it was really it really at least helped me to understand the platform and actually do, like, we didn't talk through a lot of like showing the developer how the setup is done, or the Sitecore CLI serialization, how it's all connected. So I would recommend taking the course if you can afford, or like if you're part of the MVP community, you can at least take that course for free. But if not, then going through the learning path and at least trying those things on the platform itself. If you're a partner, if you can get access to one of them and then try everything on the platform would be really good. Just getting a theoretical knowledge and getting the certification is not going to help, because this is an entire new mindset and mindset change compared to what we have done with XM or XP. So that would be my piece of advice.
And for the demo that you guys just showed us, have you published any blogs or any articles on how to spin this up for the developer to go through that themselves? If you have, maybe you can share some links with us so we can share it with everyone.
I think Madhu is doing a lot of XM Cloud content. Probably she would be able to share it.
My blogs are coming up.
Okay, good. Okay, looking forward then.
Awesome. And I also want to see on the chat that there is a complimentary webinar. Yeah, I was about to mention, if you take that webinar, you get a 50% off for the certification. Yeah, I mean, definitely we all should utilize it.
I think I signed up to that, but did not show up. So, but yeah, hopefully there's more. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Also share the slides, because at the end of this webinar they give you like a slides of like some useful information for the exam. I can share it with you as well.
That sounds good. All right. I know it's a pleasure as always to have you both on our user group. Looking forward to hear from you more as well in the coming future. If no one has any further questions, thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for kicking off 2024 for Sitecore user group, Jordan, on a good note with XM Cloud. And yeah, see you next time then.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Shrak, for the opportunity. Thanks everyone for joining and spending your time on it. Okay.
Thank you, Shrak and Shyam. We absolutely appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.